All right, guys, welcome back. And of course, our first guest is a woman of many parts. Of course, program management officer at Human Settlement, Anglophone West Africa. That's at the United Nations, and she's also worked in different areas. She holds a Doctor of Philosophy in Urban and Regional Planning, researcher, strong advocate for the empowerment of the girl child. And of course, she's written a book which was published on her 40th birthday about her life and how she was able to brave all the odds that were not in her favor. Welcome to the show, Dr. Omoyena. Did I get that correctly?
Odumbaku. Odumbaku.
Oh,
thanks,
nice.
Tony. Thanks for having me.
Nice. Now, that's quite interesting. Even though I haven't seen the book yet, but what I gather is that it's a story of how you're able to go through all of these challenges and get to where you are. It's not every day you have someone in United Nations and be able to. You're also a doctor. You're also a lecturer in
University of Lagos.
University of Lagos. Okay, do you still lecture there?
No, I don't.
No, not anymore. So you've gone through all of this process. What has been that one defined? Let me ask you that one question first. Have you been able to go through all of these different aspects of life without having to just think, I'm tired, I'm just going to keep going? We'll still come to the book. We'll still come to advocacy parts because you're a woman of many parts. So,
I've been tired several times, but I think one thing that keeps ringing the bell is like I focused. I always had my eyes on the goal. I wanted to have a PhD no matter how much I was occupied. I wanted the PhD. I wanted to, I got married, life became more demanding. I had kids, but I still wanted to become a PhD holder. So I think all through focus, I just still focus.
Okay. So how have you been able to, there's one part which I think is in the profile that says that you had, a difficult childhood? Or was it difficult, or you had a bit of a challenge in your childhood?
I think I'll probably go with the word challenge.
Yeah, that's
difficult.
The challenge.
I didn't have a difficult childhood. I had a privileged childhood because my dad, upper middle class. Unfortunately, the marriage couldn't work and they had to go separate ways. And we all know the role a mother plays in kids' life. So it was a bit challenging to you wake up to your mom preparing your meals, then you now wake up to reminding the maid, and you know the ways this maid drivers could be forgetful. So at that point you become your guardian, and you're still looking after your younger ones, making sure they do their homework, your homework. So I think I'll probably use the word challenging than difficult. It wasn't difficult.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how were you able to, because that sometimes shapes the life of a child, and when they grow up, it kind of just impacts how they relate to the world.
The truth of the matter is, even when I was writing the book, those were a lot of questions. That formed a very critical part of the publisher kept asking what happened. To be candid, I think I just seamlessly, for some reason, found myself in that leadership position. And as I said, I had no choice. There was no one who was going to look after us. So I couldn't make excuses. But for an 8-year-old, I look at my 8-year-old now and, I ask the same questions. But I also think the Nigeria we had at that time was a very communal. So our neighbors were very conscious. So they'll check up on you to say, so, people will constantly advise you and tell you directly and indirectly. And it was left for me to either take it or leave it. And I'm happy I did take the positive advice.
Okay. Now apart from the United Nations, you are heavily on child advocacy. How did that part form? And what are the aspects of the girl child do you do work in?
Okay, so I think the book actually was a button to a lot of things. So while trying to put the book together, I gave the publisher some names. I grew up in Shomolu, but I attended Christian Primary School. So it was two lives. So during the day, I was with the elites of the society. We're talking about Tom and Jerry, Nintendo games. But in the evening, my friends were coming from public schools and they were equally brilliant, but we're doing 10 tests. So I had, that hybrid. So fast forward years later, I have a friend who is equally as brilliant as I am, but she's a grandmother because she couldn't scale up. So I think the book was a wake-up call. And most times when I visit Shomolu, you can imagine the jute bulge and the girls are just everywhere without, focus and all that. And I'm like, just if one person or two persons or three persons could actually, we might not be able to do everything, but be able to actually chart a better course for few women, to not only be in leadership positions, but do what is right.
Okay. Based on your experience, because the theme or the topic now is positioning the girl child for excellence, how do you think the girl child can find her path based on how, because now times are different and the economy is different, because there's social media that is a bit of a distraction. Then we had games, we had lots of books that could help us, but now it's totally different. So how can the girl child find herself in a very distracted world?
Yeah, you've said it all. Typically now things are different. It's not only the games now, even fashion. You see 11-year-old girls wearing long wigs and all that. And as I said, so right now we're rushing down from a school. We're having a tour of public schools. I put a few of my friends, together. They volunteered. We're speaking to the girl kids, and we're telling them, we're donating books to them, and each one of them is saying you can do it, and we're trying to tell them that you can do it. And so, so basically, if the girl child identifies that she doesn't have a good head start, she has a disadvantaged head start, she should take that not as a disadvantage, but as an advantage. And one of the things I told them was, it's only the female gender that can really multitask without, I can back my baby, I'm on the phone, I'm cooking, I'm in a meeting. I don't think any man can really do that. So what are the advantages? Look at yourself as, the mother. And I also told them that the men are in the world because you can produce, at least till now. And even if you're going to do any artificial insemination or whatever, they need your eggs and all that. So look at yourself as a custodian of the society, that if the women don't get you right, then the kids can't get you right. But once the women get you right, you have more women empowerment, and you look at the correlation. The more empowered the women are, the better the society. Although socially sometimes they have less time for child development and all that. Okay. But once the woman is empowered, like you empower a woman, you empower the society. So we're trying to do that. And one of our guests yesterday, Ms. Beldeshore Emeku and Mr. Joba Loba, were keen to say, when we got the feedback, we can't stop here, Omo. We have to find a way how we're going to continue to do this. Either it's going to be periodic or, so we're still thinking of
I'm also very intrigued about because still on the girl child and excellence, how were you able to climb the ladder? Because from one thing that struck me was you saying you really wanted a PhD. Was that what informed you? Okay, let me first start as a lecturer, and then how were you able to go through all those? Because some people just, I'm just going to be a lecturer here, and then you switched it to the United Nations.
Okay, so those two careers are careers I've always wanted to have. And it didn't start from one day. I always wanted to work in the UN. When I joined, when I got admission to University of Lagos, I got admission to study civil engineering. But unfortunately, my result was seized, the way it was then, physics. So I had to do change of course. I got into urban and regional planning. So I had to start reading, like, what's this course about? And that's why I'm very keen on career talks. There was a lady who came to have a career talk with us and said, you could actually work for the UN. And so I was wondering, UN, because I typically thought UN was only about poverty and things like that. So I started reading, and I read a lot of biographies. So when I pick up a book, I turn to the back and I want to read about the author. So I realized that a lot of, at least at that time, the books I was privy to, a lot of UN staff members actually worked in either the university, as, academics, or worked as civil servants. And the way civil servants are in Nigeria, so for me the civil service was a no.
Yes, no.
So the university was a yes. Okay. And when I wanted to go into the university, I had a master's, and at that time, the NEC had just put out a rule to say you need a minimum of a PhD to work in the university, or you've started your PhD. So, so it was just incremental. So I started my PhD, and I was like, why would I start my PhD without becoming a professor? So I told my father I'm going to become a professor. So that's it. So, and my sister and my brothers, they were in the room and they laughed harder, like, you almost, not that they didn't think I had the capabilities, but they just felt, probably wasn't for me and things like that. And if you read the book, my sister said something like, even when almost shared her dreams, we laughed harder. And I think that propelled her to do more. Okay,
interesting. I mean, because there's a lot of women out there who need that sort of motivation. It's not just in different industries and all of that. So in terms of advocacy for the girls, what are the other things that you think that not just girls, because also boys, unless sometimes we sometimes just focus on the girls and we forget the boys. And when we have all these relationship issues now, it's the boys that cause the problems, because we train the girls and we leave the boys. So based on that, what do you think? Let's move a bit to the boy child. How do you think the boy child too can be impacted? So
okay, so The Girl Child project is my personal project.
Okay.
But before the Girl Child project, my siblings, Spreader and my other brother, Alfred Yadwa, sat together and we said, my father was a near genius when it comes to mathematics.
Wow.
And he used to when he passed, we realized that he was actually supporting a lot of kids around Shomolu to school.
Wow.
So we said, we can't keep up with the solo request, and how do you even vet the kid is going to school? So we have a foundation named the Gabi Yadwa Foundation, and we are setting up a mathematical laboratory where we're going to be teaching kids maths prodigies STEM, that's science, technology. We're starting with Shomolu local government because Shomolu
because that's where you're from.
Yeah, and so that we're not looking at either the boy or the girl child at that point. So we're giving back to the society doing, and I generously, if I may say, I'm donating all the proceeds of my book, and the book we're working on turning into a movie. All the proceeds of the Omo copyright, we're turning it into to the foundation to have a good start, and we're leveraging on our friends home and abroad to say your child is not using your laptop again. Somebody needs it. Give it to us, and
I'm sure that even with the books, the kids or children who are interested on the show would definitely love to have that. Now with your book, what are some of the interesting parts that can, because everybody writes books and there's always something that is the critical thinking part. Like the writer would say there's always one part of the book that should strike people. What is that part? From the whole, how many pages are in the book?
331.
So what is the striking part of the book?
I wish I could say one. When we started, my publisher was very keen on the UN story. And I said, no, the UN is like the icing on the cake as far as I'm concerned. My siblings were keen on, how did you, manage to, because even my elder ones, I used to make sure they had, how did you manage? Now we're thinking about it, you were 12, you were 10, you were 11. My friends in secondary school, there was a time I was accused of being a witch in just one.
Wow.
So they thought that was going to be like the highlight. Are you telling that story? Were you truly a witch? I'm like, I wish, I would have dealt with you like so. Then my friends at my university classmates are like, you used to be a party rocker. Ooh, how did you rock and, still, manage to have good grades and, my husband is Muslim, I'm Christian. Wow. So my friends are like, but how are you managing a multi-religious, marriage, your kids?
So there's so many sides.
So there's so many sides. And for each chapter of the book, there is an anecdote, minimum of 10 testimonies. So me, Tolu. So after the chapter 1, my sister writes what she thinks about me, my best food. My brother writes what he thinks about me. And I think it really did illuminate a lot of things. So my brother said, Omo can be in any gathering, either basal or high class, because she went to Christland and she grew up in Shomolu. It never clicked to me. So I think I also learned from the book a lot of things, I didn't even know about, and I wasn't conscious about myself. Okay. And my mentees also had their, perspective to say, Mama was heavily pregnant, but when she got to London, she made sure she saw me, she gave me an advice to check. So I'm like, truly, is this the same person? So I had to even, so there's so many sides to the book, and I wish I could say one.
What experiences that you've had from your life, do you think people can learn from? What are some vital experiences that are in the book or you've lived that you're writing to people that a lot of people watching can learn from?
I don't know if it was, when you read or when you watch movies, you look at them from different perspectives. So you might read the book and not get that perspective. But the perspective I learned from the book Omo, the lessons I learned from the book Omo, from my perspective, is human collateral is priceless. You can build houses today. When the chips are down, your house will save you. Your house will mentor you. So I am probably where I am today because I have the best of mentors, the best of friends, the best of family. And I think I can sum all that up into human collateral. So try and invest a lot in human collateral. I mean, consciously or subconsciously. Not because you want to get it back, but because you're building a pivot, not only for yourself, but for the society. If you do it right, you don't have to bother if your lights are on or dark at night, because you're going, like seamlessly to say, well, I think I gave you my best when I wanted to. Not, I had the opportunity to help this person, but I thought because she wasn't this, I didn't do that. With or without you, people will move on, but be the positive change and not the stumbling block.
I don't really know what aspects of the UN you work in. I know it's there, but I know that with the indices, there's a lot of kids out of school, and it's a global problem. I mean, based on your work, how do you think that the government can make policies that can help, you know, to better the lives of a lot of girls and boys in Nigeria? Because the figures, we had this, I think it was yesterday on the show on Monday, a lot of kids are out of school. A lot of kids don't even know what they're doing, and causes the poverty rate in the country. So based on your work in the UN, how do you think things can get better?
So my work in the UN, I'm a human settlements officer. I specialize in housing and spatial analysis, so achieving sustainable urban development. So I look at the urban space, that's an advice on policies. From my angle of work, housing in itself is an economic component. So when someone has a roof over his head, you know that half of the poverty is actually like, you know, subside. Then the other part of housing is it provides jobs. So you can imagine if someone's father was in the construction industry, architects, builders, even up till the face my face you know, carrying blocks on the head and things like that. It provides livelihood. And once you have livelihood, it reduces poverty and, you know, with provision of education. So on the policy, I really advise the government to, you know, provide the basic infrastructure, which increases mobility. Mobility increases revenue, you know, so the internally generated revenue increase. And it's cyclic, so once it increases, you can provide more infrastructure, more people can get more jobs, and you can provide more schools, more health centers, you have a sustainable environment, you have lesser pollution, more kids will go to school. So from my perspective, I'll just say have a holistic plan.
But that's why you're there, and a lot of other policymakers are doing the best, and you're also doing your own parameters, because they say the government will not. What's that quote from a well-known says? Do not look at what what your country can do for you,
but what you can do for your country.
But what you can do for your country. I don't know who said it. Was it George Washington or one other person? But where can we get this book?
Oh, the book is on Amazon for those watching from abroad. You can, and Woven Heights. Okay. And we have a website, omoh40.com. That's OMOH40th.com. You can order copies there.
Nice. So it was launched on your 40th?
Yes, it was.
Where was that?
September 25th.
Wow, so you're 4 days after me. I'm 21st.
Ah, okay. We're talking camera. Who's older?
Ah, no, you're older.
Okay,
you're older than me.
Okay, that's fine.
I always have this with my colleagues. I'm 1 year older than her. She keeps saying, just because you're 1 year older than must you rub it in my face? Okay. You know how when you have a sibling,
I'm not rubbing anything.
And she's just one day. You must still, I think it's just the way we're raised.
We're wired.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's really, really nice, you know, getting to know all these different parts and aspects of you. And of course, you know that a lot of people or girls watching and even boys would definitely want to position themselves for excellence. You can. Do not give up. Just keep
the best
pushing.
way to
Do you have any last words? Any last words?
I mean, for the girl child, the boy child, the man, the woman, if you can dream it, you can live it.
Yes, I definitely agree with that. If you can dream it, you can live it. And on that note, we'll take our word of the day, which is very interesting. It's from Michelle Obama. She says, when girls are educated, their countries become stronger and more prosperous.
Absolutely.
That's just a very amazing thing to say. And I love what Michelle, she's always been about that. When girls are educated, their countries become stronger and more prosperous. Birthdays, in fact, I did a very bad thing. On Monday was Quincy's birthday. I forgot to mention it. Quincy is my Thursday. He hosts the show with Bridget on Thursday. Happy birthday, Quincy, even though he's late. And of course, it was Papa Sam's birthday. On Monday, I forgot to wish him a happy birthday. Today is Uyi's birthday. Happy birthday, Uyi. More love and more prosperity. And it's also Mavi Prince Adeloye's birthday. That's from your guy, Moses of Silverbird. To everyone who is celebrating this period, we wish you a happy birthday and happy birthday. Love. And our cake, please. I'm coming to collect that cake. That's why he's been on the phone all morning, because I knew there was something fishy about what he was doing. So, guys, we'll see you tomorrow for another amazing show. Please have a blessed day and bye-bye.